Hey there, everyone, and welcome into Behind the Bag. My name is Ken, and thank you so much for joining. Today is the first day of the second round of the Major League Baseball playoffs. And I don't know about you, me as a Mets fan, I really don't have a rooting interest in this year's playoffs. I know I am not rooting for the Phillies or the Braves. I think probably if I had to choose a team, I think I would probably be rooting for the Orioles, just because they're one of those classic teams. They were so great in the late '60s, early '70s, and then those years when they played the Yankees in the late '90s. They always had a great franchise. But they're a nice young team, and I guess I'm going to pull for them. There's no one else really that's left that I'd like to see. So anyway, welcome into the show, and I wanted to tell everyone to make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Since the Mets are out of it, I dusted off the channel. And we're going to have more shows probably throughout the off season. We'll talk about a lot of different topics. And I also want to tell people if they're interested in being on a future, broadcast, just DM me. I am willing to talk about anything. I'm willing to talk about Mets history. We can talk about baseball. If you want to talk about, who your favorite all-time catcher was in Major League history, we can talk about that too. I think this is sports. I think we should have discussions. So not everything has to be, people being at each other's throats. We can have honest and friendly discussions. So anyway, that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. Our, topic tonight is going to be the Major League Baseball format. Okay, so this is something I've been giving a lot of thought to, is the current format with the division winners and then 3 wild cards. Is it good or bad? I would argue, okay, it's my opinion, I would argue this is kind of changing the game, and it's leading to a playoffs that really is not that exciting and is rewarding teams that really are not that good. Right? Let's think about this. I wanted to show you something. If you see the final regular season standings, and what we're looking at here is, if we look at the American League, we're looking at the Orioles, right? The Orioles and the Rays were the class of the American League by far. Okay, both from the American League East, both. We had that battle all during the year of them going back and forth. So, we got a very good race there. And, obviously the Orioles came out on top in the American League East. The Rays were knocked out in the first round. So they were the only two teams in the American League that finished with at least a .600 winning percentage. Okay. After that, you had 2 teams, the Astros and Rangers, who, had, again, 90 wins. And then you had 2 teams, including the Twins, who won the Central with less than 90 wins. Okay. You go over to the National League, clearly the Braves and the Dodgers were the class of the league, right? Both with over 100 wins. I would say, as much as I hate the Braves, I think they clearly are the best team, and they won the National League East very easily. Sure, there wasn't much of a race there, but they clearly, in my opinion, are the best team there. As much as that pains me, and again, then you had 2 teams with 90 wins as wild card teams. I'm sorry, the Brewers won the Central. And then you had the Phillies on the last day of the season. They got their 90th win. And then you had the Marlins, and the Diamondbacks with 84 wins. So they barely finished above 500, and they're in the playoffs. Okay. I don't know. My opinion is, and maybe this happens every year, you can make an argument that not every team deserves to be in the playoffs. But I think what's happened, we saw a little bit of it last year, okay, and we've seen it in years past with wildcard teams. They go through the season, they have a relatively good season, okay, and then they get into the playoffs and they get hot, or one of their players just takes off, and they become the Cinderella story, and they make a run all the way to the playoffs. Again, we saw it last year. The Phillies, to their credit, were a very good team. Were they the best team from the National League East? If you look at the regular season, they clearly were not. The Mets, the Dodgers, the Braves, obviously they all finished with 100-win seasons, so they definitely were the better teams. But, the Phillies got hot. And, they made it all the way to the World Series. And then actually in the World Series, they faced off against the Astros, who were clearly the better team. And, then kind of the magical run ran out. Okay. But you're looking at some teams here, the Marlins and the Diamondbacks, go back to them, again, clearly they were not playoff teams. You could probably make an argument some of the other teams, really were not that great. Okay. If you look at the scores, right? So this is, you take all of this and again, you throw it into the playoffs. And again, the Rays are out. The Rays are out already. A 99-win team out after 2 games. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a little bit upset that they couldn't draw any fans, right? You saw the pictures of their stadium, for playoff games. Now, granted, they were in the middle of the day, but come on, this is the playoffs, right? And they couldn't even draw a crowd during the playoffs. So I don't feel terrible for them, as a 99-win team, but, they certainly were not rewarded, having to play that first round. So anyway, then you look, let's just look at some of the scores from today. Okay. So earlier today, Houston beat Minnesota in, again, the first game of the second round. Our good buddy Verlander picks up the win. So Houston leads 1-0 there. In the other American League game, Texas beat Baltimore. So again, you're looking at a Texas team that finished the regular season with 90 wins, and now they've taken game 1 in Baltimore. And if they, should happen to pull off a win tomorrow, they're going to go back to Texas in really good shape. So again, this second round is only the best of 5. So, Baltimore needs to get their act together tomorrow, or this could be a short playoff run for them. And then the game later on tonight, Arizona and the Dodgers, a game that quite frankly, nobody's going to be watching because it starts at 9:20 Eastern time. And again, the Diamondbacks, an 84-win team, against the Dodgers. Should they be there? Probably not. Could the Diamondbacks go on some crazy run and knock off the Dodgers, much like the Padres did last year? I guess it could happen, right? To me, it's not necessarily fair. And then in the game going on right now between, if you're a Mets fan, our 2 arch rivals, the Phillies and Atlanta, they're in the top of the 8th, and the Phillies are winning 2-0. And with 2 outs, they have runners on second and third. So I don't know. Do the Phillies send the Braves packing again? Again, it would be something that, is definitely a possibility. The Phillies have a good team. I would definitely make an argument that they are a playoff team. Maybe they underperform in the regular season, but when you look at their lineup, you look at their pitching staff, actually 90 wins, they probably should have had more than 90 wins. So I'm just curious. I look at baseball, And to me, baseball is different than any other sport, right? We play 162 games. It's a long season. It starts in spring. Actually, now, like at the end of March, it starts, and it goes all the way until the end of September. And then the playoffs are in October. It's a long season. A lot happens during the season. You could have, a 10-game winning streak. You could have, 5-game losing streaks. You can have players injured that come back. It's a marathon, right? And that's, to me, what the sport should reward. It should reward those teams that complete the marathon, okay? Not the team that comes in 6th place and then all of a sudden has a little bit extra and they go on a run in the playoffs. I'm a believer that, again, there should be some sort of reward for those teams that win, that end with the best records. Okay. And you can tell me, well, they don't have to play in the first round. But you know what? We're kind of seeing that having that time off may not be the best thing. May not be the best thing this time of the year. Sure, you can line up your pitching staff, okay? But just look at tonight. The Braves had Spencer Strider going. And, how's that working out for them? The Phillies now have the bases loaded with 2 outs. Again, still up 2-0 in the top of the 8th. So again, there's still some time there, but potentially the Phillies could go up 1-0 in that series. So anyway, I want to know what you think. I, again, am a believer that we really need to take a better look at how we structure these playoffs. I don't know if there's another thing that can be done, but it just seems like it's being very watered down. We have, when I was growing up, the big joke was always about hockey, and that all of the teams, in hockey, it was basically like the majority of the teams got into the playoffs, right? Is baseball becoming like that? And again, I know they're doing it for revenue. I know they're doing it because they want to have a more exciting regular season. But, is that what baseball is supposed to be about? We had an exciting race in the American League, okay? And it's not every year that we can have exciting races, okay? Some years, we're just going to have teams that are so good that, the distance between them and the second place team is not going to be that close, okay? And if you got really excited between, the seedings between the Marlins and the Diamondbacks, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe we're never going to be able to see eye to eye. But anyway, like I said, I really would love to get your opinions. Again, keep them clean. This is just baseball. And let me know in the comments what you think. Like, subscribe to the channel. And again, reach out to me if you'd like to be on a future episode of Behind the Bag. Until next time, enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy baseball. Let's go Mets.